Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Ba-da-bum. Welcome back. We're an advice podcast where we give, you guessed it, advice. My name's Megan, and I'm joined by my co-host, producer, and the only reason why anything gets done, Melissa.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here today.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be a guest on Jimmy Fallon. Thank you. Who's the one that laughs at everything?
Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, yeah. Ha, 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 ha. Say something.
Oh, my God. That was a good impression.
I won't lie, though. I do find it, if I was a guest, I would love that. I would find it, really comforting for someone to laugh at my jokes, even if they weren't funny.
I would find it annoying.
I think I fully understand that for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm in the minority. It would just make me feel comfortable. But I do love the people, who is it? Dakota Johnson, who she's I thought you're supposed to let people talk on your show.
I love her so much.
I've loved her since the first, I saw the first 50 Shades of Grey movie. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this girl is so funny, so great at this role, and not what you would have expected, the performance. And I was like, I fucking stan her.
I do too. And then I went back and watched this Fox show that she was on that was very short-lived, but she was really good.
What show?
I don't even remember.
Okay.
It was her and a guy that played her brother, and she was a young mom, and her brother had to move in because of, I don't even remember. Yeah. And
it sounds like
really
a canceled
funny.
Fox show.
Yeah, but it was really funny. She was great in it.
She's great.
Yeah.
I just love her. And if we didn't have her, we would never have the iconic line, "That's not true, Ellen. You were invited." I think about it daily.
You tweeted about it recently.
I did. Someone was like, wait, I have no idea what's going on. And then the rest of the people were knew exactly what was going on. I think about it a lot. Well, if you guys want to call in for an episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. So yeah, we are a call-in advice show. You leave voicemails, you tell us what's going on in your life, what you need some help with, and then we use our amazing, wonderful, life-changing brains, or our beautiful, wonderful, giant, super smart brains to give you life-changing advice.
Super smart and super juicy brains.
I got a big old bodacious juicy brain. Ew. I mean, a brain does kind of have an ass crack.
Yeah, and it's juicy. If it's not
I don't
juicy,
think about it, too much.
Then it dries out, and then you're dead.
Stop.
It's just moving around.
I don't like brains. I don't like to. It's probably
you
why.
heard it here. Megan doesn't like to give head.
Well, that's actually not true. Not one specifically, but well, yeah, that's our that's what we are. That's what we're about. And if you're going to leave a voicemail, which we encourage you to do, or you can send us the voice message. Keep it under 3 minutes. You'll be cut off otherwise. 18 or over, have your parents' permission to call in. Let us know your pronouns and practice. Write it down and then read it, because that's how you can get a potential gold star, or at least a shout out from Melissa. Mm-hmm. We've got a pretty long update, so we're going to keep our chit chat to a minimum at the beginning. But I do have to, I knew something specific I was going to ask you. Would you like to share with the class your exciting news?
I'm moving. I'm so excited that I am getting out of my tiny 1-bedroom apartment and moving into a house. And it's very cute. I sent Megan pictures.
It's so fucking adorable. Mm-hmm. It's and I just can picture you at the front door, just hello.
I'm getting rocking chairs.
Stop.
to put on the front porch.
Are you going to yell at people?
I'm not going to yell at people, but I'll sit out there and quietly
Judge
judge as
them?
I sip lemonade.
Oh, I love that. That's like on it, the American dream.
I mean, I feel like I'm finally like a real adult now.
Oh, that is like, you are not a true adult until you are calling your neighbors youngins and you're being like, they need to slow down on this road.
Speaking of neighbors, my next door neighbor that I speak about quite often on this show. Yesterday I was walking up to my door and she was standing out with another neighbor and I put my mask on and she was like, half the time I see you, you have on a mask and half the time I see you, you don't. And I was like, half the time that you see me, the majority of the time that you see me, you're in your house. No one's out here. If I'm walking to my car, I don't have a mask on. Also, she never has on a mask and is unvaccinated and is like over 80.
That is like, at that point, I'm like, someone should do a wellness check on you. Cause like,
She has family over all the time. So it's not even that.
Old people.
Yeah. I'm like, you didn't have to say anything. You could have just said hi. And I could have kept going to my door.
I thought it was going to be like, because she's a fucking creep. I thought it was going to be like, it's her peering into your window. I was like, yeah, I don't have a mask on inside.
She is a creep, but
like,
she's creeping at me from the inside of her apartment.
Yeah.
Like, she'll literally like watch and like yell out like, hi, Melissa. Like, that's being a creep.
She's a fucking creep.
Yeah.
I'm so excited
a
for you.
nosy ass creep.
I'm excited for you to not have to.
Me too.
deal with her anymore.
Me too. Because the neighborhood that I'm moving to is like a very like trendy neighborhood.
Oh, we love a trendy neighborhood.
There's a lot of good like walking places to go to eat and stuff.
I'm so excited for you.
Me
I
too.
can't wait to go over. I can't wait to record there. It's going to be like, oh, it's so cute.
Yeah.
And I'm jealous that you're getting rid of your neighbors. Our weird ass fucking neighbors who play with, this is no knock to Star Wars fans, but they play with like full-size replicas of lightsabers, and they're the kind that like make the crashing sound when they hit each other, and they play with them outside, like right outside one of like our windows, and so we can hear everything. And they had like probably like 40 people over yesterday just like hanging out in their garage.
Do they dress up?
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen them walking in their dressed up outfits.
They also fence. They do a lot of weird fucking shit. Like, no offense. And I really only say this because like they're the same people who like,
Are they LARPing?
Well, as someone who's LARPed, I am not really there I can't really pass judgment on someone. Granted, I was LARPing as like a friend of a LARPer. I was like, sure, I will attend. Weed, wine, I'm there. But they like had like 50 people over yesterday, and they were just, I don't know what they were doing. I was making a joke to Mott's, which I was like, he was like, do you think that they're like watching something? He's like, I think they're like playing a drinking game. And I'm like, I think they're playing Settlers of Catan. He was like, they're not. And I was just like, ragging on them. I'm sure it sounds like I'm sure it's a fun game, but like I was just making fun of them. But they literally were like, nobody's wearing masks. And like, it's not even just that like, sure, we're in LA, you're outside, but like we're in LA and like wear a mask. Don't invite like 50 people over. But it was just like, I didn't even feel like a crotchety old person. I was just like, you guys are so annoying. Like that being like yelling from across the street when friends are coming over. They're like, Jessica? Is that Jessica? Oh my God, what's the hell your hair? And it was just like so obnoxious. And it was until like 3:30 in the morning. And they were just like screaming.
No, I wouldn't have. But I was going to say, there's no like legit place you can call and be like, shut the fuck up.
I know. Mox and I were joking that it kind of made us want to get like, because like we're not going to call the police on someone for like a noise complaint anywhere here, regardless of like what they're doing. But Mox and I were saying that we should invest in some like scary masks, so then we could just like go outside and then hide.
I don't think it would scare them though.
I know. We thought that we would have to really specifically like pick something for them that like. Because we were like, I feel like they were just like, oh, no, great reference. Like, come
it was
on.
Probably one of their, they'd probably think it was one of their friends.
No way! I was just like, it was just so obnoxious. You're the kind of people where like, it's like when you're hanging out with someone and they're like talking so loudly and you're like, you don't know how loud you are. Like, everyone was like that. And they were just screaming. And I'm like, we can all hear your like really lame, mundane conversations. And like, it was just so horrible. And they were like getting in the way that I couldn't hear the fucking announcers as I'm like watching the Olympics. And I first thought that maybe they were watching the Olympics. And then I like kept going through the channels to see if any of it matched up with like their exciting cheers. It was nothing. Absolutely nothing.
They're probably watching some type of LARPing competition.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know what LARPing really is. So.
And that's the thing that like I am like all for like the nerds, and I'm like, fuck yeah, nerds, revenge of the nerds, do all your, but like it was like nerds that were broing out like a fucking fraternity. And it was like the annoyance that you get by like being around like drunk frat boys, but they were nerds. I'm like, I thought better of you fucking bitches.
That's
like
what you
I
think.
had higher standards.
That's what you get for setting standards.
It's from men. Fucking, that's on me. Ugh. Well,
let's get into the update.
Let's do it.
So my call was back in like 2020 in the very beginning before the pandemic became like huge. I was still in the live shows. Becca Martinez was your host. And I was the one whose boyfriend, like all in one breath, was like, I don't know how to be just friends with girls. Also, I'm bisexual. And I was like, this is all things that you figured out in therapy. That's great. But we need to actually like have a conversation about this.
Mm-hmm.
And he had been planning on going to a birthday party for one of his girlfriends. And I was like, not going to be able to go until like an hour before the party was supposed to end. And I was like thinking, should I ask him to wait for me to go to the party? Because I feel kind of weird about him hanging out with his girlfriends, like after he told me that. But I never did. So that's an update part of that. I never talked to him about it. The only thing I said was to have boundaries, which he totally deflected. Yeah. And so here it goes. So I'm bisexual too. I never thought like being bi was like an issue. And so I like never really brought that up. The only issue with me was that he literally said, I don't know how to be just friends with girls. I've been in a relationship with this guy for 3 years, and this is my first time hearing about this. So that raised a few red flags, obviously. And the one girl I was worried about was the one throwing the party.
Oh,
yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when I got to the party, finally, her shirt was like hanging below her bra. And so I was just being nice and moving it up. And she yelled at me for that. She was like, don't look out for my modesty. And I was like, okay. And we're like all theater people. So we're dramatic as fuck. So I was just like, okay, whatever. Like,
yeah.
We had a couple of conversations about it. And I did say, like, it is kind of weird to me that you have this like friendship with this girl and you're kind of like secretive when you text her, and you have like a nickname for her in your phone. And he kept deflecting, saying like, well, we're just friends. And then a month later, he breaks up with me. So this was all like in February. And then he breaks up with me in March, like 3 days before the episode had aired.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So when I watched that episode, I was like, ooh, great. Awesome.
God.
Yeah. So he breaks up with me and says he wants to like explore his sexuality. He doesn't feel the same way about me, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I can't stop you from breaking up with me. And you just figured something out about yourself that's like kind of something you need to explore. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you do that. Obviously, like, it was really heartbreaking, but I wanted to let him, explore and give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, I asked him, was it for a person? Did you break up with me for a specific person? And he said no. And that girl had been messaging me through Instagram, like even after the breakup. We were just talking about mundane things, masks in the Heights for some reason. And then in like June of that year, I went to go look at her profile to see if she was moving somewhere because they had just graduated, and she didn't show up. So she had blocked me. And his best friend lives with me. So I asked him, I was like, why did what's her face block me? And he just like basically told me everything. And so I messaged him and I'm like, dude, you lied to me. And literally, he did not want to talk about it. He was like, I don't have time for this. I don't need to talk about this with you. I'm tired. And I was like, you literally said, we are going to be friends after this. And you have kept your word up until a certain point. And I think it's because what's her face told you cannot be friends with me. And so I was like, we can't be friends. Like 100%. We're not going to be friends. You dumped me for this girl that I was worried about. I asked you, you lied about it. It's one thing to like leave me for somebody, but to say we can stay friends when you leave me for somebody
no.
you
know too, like,
and somebody we both know, it's like, no, I'm not going to stay friends with you.
I don't want to interrupt your flow, but so what did your roommate say? Like when you asked him, like, did he say like, oh, they're dating, or what did he say about your ex and this girl?
So he kind of acted like he didn't know what was going on at first.
Your roommate, his best friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, I think they're just like kind of good friends. And then I was like, no, show me her Instagram. There's a reason she blocked me. And it was a picture of them at the beach, which, by the way, he fucking hates the beach.
It's like that Lorde song. You say you love the beach. I know you're a damn liar. You know?
Yeah.
See, exactly.
Yeah, he hates the beach. I can never get him to go with me. And so it's like, of course they're dating if he's at the beach with this girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like what else would he be there for? So yeah, he eventually told me the truth because like he wanted to look out for his friend, but he also like loves me. Yeah. And so he was like, okay, like I'm not going to lie to you. But it was also none of his business. So I don't blame him for kind of wanting to hold back a little bit.
Yeah.
So eventually, like, I don't know what happened between. I basically told him, like, we can't be friends. And then another one of our friends had invited me to some, like, Zoom party thing. And I just, like, and my ex-boyfriend wasn't there. And I just, like, over the Zoom call was, like, breaking down crying. And so we like went out to a breakout room and he was like asking me, what is going on? Like, why are you crying? And I like told him the whole thing. And he said that he had talked to my ex-boyfriend, this random friend had talked to my ex-boyfriend and said that he wanted to still be friends with me and that this girl wasn't that serious because she was moving to Hawaii. We're in like California, so Hawaii, that's really far.
Is she like a native Hawaiian?
No, and there's more about that.
Okay, so she's a current time colonizer for sure. Got it.
Current time colonizer. And then, so basically, after I told him this, I texted my ex and said, like, look. We were together for 3 years and like friends before that. I want to at least like try to be friends. And I brought up that he had cheated. Like whether it was physically or emotionally, it was still cheating in my mind. And he went off on me. And so I just stopped talking to him. And then I found out a week later he had broken up with this girl because he told her what I had said. And she was like, you need to cut her off. You need to block her. You need to tell her like to fuck off. And me, who didn't really do anything wrong, was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so he broke up with her because she was like trying to control his life.
And she made him go to the beach.
Yeah. And
he hates the beach. What a bitch. So they break up. And then I'm trying to move out of my parents' house into like some, I don't know. It doesn't matter. So I'm trying to move and I didn't have anybody to help me move. And so I was like, yo, you should help me move. And so like, as he's like helping me move, he tells me the entire story of like how they dated and all of that stuff. And the only thing that stuck out to me was that like, in the area she was living, there was a BLM protest going on. And she was freaking out about it, like not in a good way. She was like, I can't believe they're coming over here. That's so crazy. Like, I don't want them to burn down my house. And I was like, why would you be with somebody like that? And he's like, yeah, like she was low-key racist.
Yeah.
Well,
And backtrack to the party, he's Latinx. And there was another Spanish speaker at her party, and she like went over to him while I was standing right there and was like, such and such, come say hi to my friend and speak Spanish to him.
Oh my God.
So like
I have such secondhand embarrassment.
I know. It's disgusting. She sounds like a handful.
She does.
Oh, I know. Ugh.
I mean, I think that, like this, like to me, scream like it goes all back to your original call. Like he doesn't know how to be friends with women. And like, I think even him breaking up with that girl, I think that like, that to me is also kind of like I can't be friends with women because a friend would call you out on not that like him being friends with you is like bullshit or anything like that, but the fact that he can't be just friends with girls applies when you guys were in a relationship to the girls that he was friends with. And then when he's in a relationship with someone else, it also applies to the people that he's saying he's friends with, even if it's like an ex. Yep. Like he can't be friends. He can't be friends with women. He can only see them in like a romantic kind of way. And it applies, like, obviously it's like it, and I don't think it would make me feel better in any sense of it that like if I was dating him, the female friends that he had a hard time seeing them just as friends. But even when you break up, he has a hard time seeing you as just a friend. And like I know you said he's in therapy, but he needs way
Make
more.
sure he stays in therapy.
Yeah. So like after we were all vaccinated and everything, like a month or so ago, I went to lunch with him and we were just talking about like what we're going to do when the world kind of goes back to normal, when like most people are vaccinated. And the dude starts crying because he and this is really sad. Like I feel bad for him, but like he's got some slight issues just being around people in general. Like he gets angry. And I was one of the only people that he said that to, like he spoke to about that, because he hasn't been going to therapy because he lost his insurance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he needs to go back.
Yeah.
I mean, that girl like had nothing to worry about though. Cause like, I'm not an idiot though. Like, I'm not going to get back with somebody, even if we've been together for 3 years, I'm not going to get back with somebody who broke up with me to be with someone else.
Well, I mean, how you get them is how you lose them. So regardless of like, I think the logic like goes out of her brain at that moment, because they, like you said, they definitely, whether it was like physical or emotional or anything, like it happened during your relationship with her. So she, without a doubt, doesn't feel that secure in her relationship, because she's like, if you did it with me, you'll do it to me. And I think that like it's an easy target to think of like the ex like that, especially when personally, if I would, my biggest advice is like, don't be friends with him. Like there's no need for any of that. And I think that for her, if she sees like, holy fucking shit, like this girl definitely knows that like shit happened while we were together and she's still cool being friends with him, I don't think that it has any reflection on her feelings towards you. I think it has everything about her feelings towards him being like, oh God, you treated her like you fucked her over in this situation and she's still like being your friend. Like you definitely are still hooking up with her on the side. Like how, like not in like any like slight to you, but I think like all of it is on him, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. And like in my original update, I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna produce my album, because I gave him voice lessons when he was doing his album, and while we were dating, so they were free.
Oh God.
And so I'm like, dude, you gotta like pay me back somehow and produce my album for me. And last night I was hanging out with my best friend for the first time in literally forever, and I was kind of breaking down everything that happened and then like how he's currently acting, because he's doing the same thing he did when we were together, like, and basically he is playing me hot and cold on a friendship level. Like we'll be good, we'll have like multiple conversations, and then just like all of a sudden he's ignoring my messages. Which is what happened when we were in a relationship. And so I'm like, I'm not going to go through that again with the same guy on a friendship level. I am worth way more than how this person is treating me. And I decided like, from this point on, I'm not friends with him. I'm not going to reach out to him. I'm going to be cordial because his best friend still lives with me, but then he's moving out in like a month. So I have zero reason to talk to this person at all. And I'm just going to produce my own album. I'm not going to use anybody else. Like, just let me muscle my skills. Because that was like also for him, so he could work out his skills in producing. Because I can do my own stuff. Like, I don't need him. I just wanted to help him out and learn.
You've got a really good like sense of perspective now in all of this of being like, not going to be friends anymore. This is the timeline. This is going to be done and all of that kind of stuff. But I do think that probably part of the reason, if you haven't already thought of this yourself, but part of the reason you wanted to like maintain a friendship with him afterwards is you had said that you both had been friends before you were dating. And then having him say, can't ever really see like my female friends as just friends. Like there's always something like else there. That kind of invalidates your entire friendship you had before you were dating. And like, that can be like a very sucky thing to hear, that it's like, oh, surface level friendship, even if like you had a crush on him or like whatever, like you want like when a relationship goes from friendship to a relationship, the base of a relationship is friendship. And when it can kind of feel a little bit slighted when someone says like, oh yeah, if it was me, I might feel like, oh, wow. So you just like, you didn't necessarily want to be my friend this whole time. Like you were friendly to me because you like wanted to like get together, and it was like flirtatious and it never went away. And then maintaining a friendship afterwards, I think for me, it would have been me trying to like really validate and prove that we did have a friendship. And it was different. And it was like, I know he's not friends. Like we had the real friendship that turned into like a relationship and all of that. And I think that like, I think it's totally possible that you had a very real and honest, true friendship then. And that his statement of saying like, I don't know how to just be friends with girls can be like, that doesn't invalidate your relationship or anything like that. I think that that's something that, I think it's a really shitty way of saying, I'm letting you know I'm probably going to become unfaithful to you. And I want to make sure I've given you this kind of vocal warning so I can throw it back in your face afterwards. But if you ever felt at any point, and I don't want to put this in your head if you're like, yeah, no, I never thought about it, and now I am. But like if it did ever feel like it was invalidating a friendship, that to me, like that statement of his, I don't even necessarily think it's like a real moment of honesty. I think it is literally like when shitty dudes say certain things to then throw back in your face when they inevitably live up to like the incredibly low standard that they said that they're going to perform at.
Oh yeah, it took the dude a year to like finally take accountability for what happened.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it wasn't me. I didn't do a goddamn thing wrong. Like I was there for you. I pushed you to go to therapy. Like when I tell you I pushed him, I was in tears, by the way. I was like,
yeah.
No one should ever be in a relationship like that where your partner is in such a rough mental state and they refuse to go to therapy and you're the one who pushes them. Like that should be their responsibility.
Yeah. You seem like you're in such a good place now and that you've had a lot of perspective, and like in the relationship you had perspective too. It's just him. He's just not who you need to be with. And it sounds like he doesn't need to be with anyone at this point anyway. But I'm glad that you have realized everything just like on a friendship level too, that you're ready to move on.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for hearing me.
Of course.
Of course.
That's like it's a lot. I can imagine that's like a lot to go through, especially like this is like really like been an entire like saga through the pandemic. Yeah. Like it's a lot to deal with. And I can't even imagine like having your roommate be a close friend of yours, but also like his best friend. Like it is, our biggest advice is always like cut that person off. But it is like hard. And I think you've done like a really great job throughout all of this. And like, it's great to hear at the end of this that like, you're like, no, I'm boundaries. Like he's moving out, not going to be friends, cutting this off. Like, I think that's like a really strong and great thing to do that I can imagine was really fucking hard, especially in the midst of a fucking pandemic.
Yeah, that's still going on, by the way.
Yes, very much. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. everyone in LA is currently getting COVID. So
Yep.
it's brutal, brutal, brutal. Ugh.
Yep. I just go to work and go to my car and go home.
Yeah.
Valid. I just stay inside all day.
Mm-hmm.
All day.
Well, thank you so much for giving us the update. And I did want to say, though, I don't know if you know this, but that episode that we recorded with Becca was our literal last episode we recorded before the pandemic, where we like stayed at home and all of that stuff. So like, I remember that episode vividly.
Yeah. So you're very much like,
so the timeline,
full circle right now.
and the timeline, even though it was like weeks later for you, like that was the beginning of the pandemic for us. So like I can totally see that timeline crystal clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like on a spiritual level, like it was meant to happen this way. Like the beginning of the pandemic, right after we break up. And then like right after I figure out like, I don't want to be friends with this dude at all. I don't want him in my life is when we do the update.
Yeah. No, it's perfect.
Full circle.
And I'm so happy for you in this clarity. And you're going to have such a better relationship. Like the next person that you end up dating, whenever that is, it's going to be like, because when you could have a really shitty one, you're like, I have no tolerance for any of this. Like, it's going to be great.
Yes. Yes.
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much. You did a great job.
Nothing to be worried about.
No, not at all.
Not to be. I know you were being vulnerable, but thank you for opening up to us.
Of course.
We love to see growth during a pandemic, but damn, lots of people.
Yeah. I love how many people are cutting other people out of their lives too.
Well, when you're stuck, you realize who's got to stay and who's got to go.
Yeah, I've been doing.
I was gonna say you've been trimming the fat of your people.
I have.
I mean, what was it that you? It's a phrase that both of us use all the time, but you specifically, we always say like other people consider us best friends. We're like, we're not. But you said the last time we were talking about it, you were like, I realized how many people consider me close friends that I consider acquaintances. Yes. I was like, savage.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's true. So many people are like, I have to see you now that we're vaccinated. I'm like,
do you?
I'm only reserving that for people that like I actually consider a friend, because it's still risky. So I've got like 3 more people that I'm seeing before I go back into my hole.
It's a smart move.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anyone. I weirdly have realized I haven't seen Lily, but I talk to Lily all the time and we FaceTime all the time. And I'm like, oh yeah, we haven't seen each other in person. But I think that's the only. I will see her in a month. That's like the only person I haven't physically seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what a time.
But let's take a break now.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, a quick break, and we'll be right back. We are back from our break, and we're going to get into the rest of the calls. It's my Russian accent. Well, should we get into the rest of the episode?
Let's do it.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I'm a 23-year-old, and my pronouns are she, her, and I live with my boyfriend, who is also 23. We met in college and have been together for 4 years. We moved in together in his home city of Boston in 2020 and have recently left our apartment for a new lease in a building in our same neighborhood. When we moved in together in 2020, his mom signed a lease in the same building as us. We were both okay with this at the time because it was a very large high-rise and she was not on the same floor as us. The building was in the same neighborhood she had been living in for about 7 years and was one of the nicest buildings in the area. Plus, she's single, and it was nice having my mother-in-law nearby since I'm over 6 hours away from my family. His mom now wants to move out of the old building and into the same building my boyfriend and I just moved into. She secretly reached out to our broker and signed a lease for an apartment on the same floor as us. She told my boyfriend this after the fact, and he was really upset about it. He told me living in the same building as her once was weird enough, but now he feels like she's following him around. She claims she didn't realize the apartment was in the same tower of the building complex as us, but I find that hard to believe since we've had her over our apartment before, and the other tower in this complex has a different street number. She didn't even tour this apartment. She just signed the lease and provided checks to the broker without seeing it in person. My boyfriend and I don't know what to do. We both agree that her moving down the hall from us is way too much and that we need our personal space. However, his mom is going through a hard time. She's been divorced for over 15 years. She left her old job in 2020 and hasn't been able to get a new one since, and both of her kids have moved on with their lives. My boyfriend does everything he can to help her. He's helped her complete job applications. He's trying to help her find other apartments that are equally as nice as the one in our building, and he even lets her borrow the car he bought since she had to sell her car. He already has so much stress going on in his life from his job. It's unfair for him and I to have even more stress added on. She's also very upset that we've been spending a lot of time with his dad and his other kids. How do we convince her not to move in with us without hurting her feelings? Thank you guys so much. Love the podcast.
I mean, if she wants to get her feelings hurt, she's going to get her feelings hurt.
What do you mean?
Like, in her mind, there is no way that you do this without being like, I think it's very unlikely that she's going to be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this would be overstepping. Like, I'm so sorry, like, blah, blah, blah. I think she made the conscious decision knowing that it's like uncomfortable for them and is like, no, I want to do this. And I think that like it is a pretty obvious overstepping of boundaries.
Oh, 100% on
and
that.
I think she knows that too. And I think that like the nerve that you have to do to kind of do that, at least in my mind, as someone who knows that, because I think if she would have asked and had a conversation, like that would have been more like, I want to hear you out. Like, I want to hear how you would feel about that. So I don't necessarily think there's anything you can do aside from like, make sure you're not like a raging asshole. But I think like she's going to get her feelings hurt because like she consciously made a choice that like is highly likely to hurt her own feelings.
Yeah. I mean, she reached out to your broker, which I think is a little odd. She reached out to the broker. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't tell you guys that she was doing it. Like, surprise. I mean, she's already signed the lease. Like, there's nothing really you can do except for set boundaries about, like, if she's going to stop over, like, unannounced or...
She could depending on how long it's been, like, you can pull out of a lease, like, if it's...
But I don't think she's going to.
No. And I think that, like... Yeah. I mean, I guess that's hard because then at the same time, like... I think the thing you have to say is like, it has to, I think like the best way to go about it is like obviously padding it with like, we love you. We love spending time with you. Like we enjoyed, there were parts of like living in the same building before that we really enjoyed with you. But we would really love to have like our own kind of like space in a way that extends past just our apartment. Mm-hmm. And like, we want to be able to like have you over all the time and like do dinners and like that kind of stuff. And it feels like a little uncomfortable. We wish you would have talked to us first before moving in here. Like it feels a little, it doesn't really feel great to know that like you kind of went behind our backs to do this thing that like does also affect our lives. And we obviously like want what's best for you. And I think maybe it's one of those things you could say like, it's not necessarily fair of us to ask you to like go back on this lease. We obviously don't want to put you in a financial place like that. But like, if that is possible, we'd love to be able to find a different place for you to live that you like equally as much, which it sounds like your boyfriend is already doing. But if you decide to live in this building, like we need to establish some really clear boundaries. And maybe if you say that, like you said, like if you establish those clear boundaries, maybe she won't want to live in the exact same building.
Yeah. I'm just imagining her popping up for dinner or telling you guys she made dinner and just like
living in the same,
expecting you to always be there or she can always come over
on the same floor. Like that's like college dorms.
Yeah.
And that's like not okay. And I think that like, I understand having, especially as you like the partner, it's not your parent, but like, I understand being understanding that she's like gone through a lot and all of that kind of stuff. But her moving on the same floor as her kid and his long-term girlfriend, wife or whatever, does not help her I think she thinks it does, but like that boundary setting and like that space is healthy for both of you. Like she's not going to be able to get out there and like become more independent and like find things that like she's just what she's doing. And obviously don't fucking say this to her, but like she is reverting back to, she no longer has the wife role that she had after her kids moved out. And she's now trying to revert back to a mom role. Well, because she was married, because
it's been like 15 years. Didn't she say that?
But I would assume that like, it was, you know, if they got, she was married for a while. So she was like she was a wife role, and then she had kids and she was a mom role. And then her kids needed her up into a certain extent. And then the marriage was done. She didn't have the wife role anymore. And so even though her kids are grown, she's reverting back to like, okay, let me step in like I am like the mom roles, like and she's young again.
Yeah. She also isn't working either. So she doesn't have that much to do.
Yeah. And like, it's just regressive for like everyone. And it's just going to cause more tension. And I think if like your boyfriend says that to her, where it's like, I love you, but I'm really afraid you being this close is going to really hurt our relationship. And I don't want that. Like, I want this. So like, if you are deciding to live here, we need to like really set some clear boundaries, because like, I don't want this to hurt our relationship further. And like, that's hopefully not what she wants either. But like, yeah, there just needs to be like some like, why didn't you say anything to us? Like some communication.
Surprise. Yikes.
I also want to know if you're like broker, like, did she say what floor she wanted to live on? Or did she ask like, what floor do you live on? Like to him.
If that's the case, you got to have a word with your broker too.
Yikes. But yeah, that's stressful. Also, yeah, like you're right, because she's not working. So, and it's like, no matter where you are, like a lot of people are still working from home a good chunk of the time. So it's a lot of home.
You know, and mandates are probably going to be, she's going to be in their pod.
Yeah. I think the thing is like that needs to be addressed with her is like you didn't tell us this. Because
she knew she was doing it. She didn't even go look at the apartment because she knew already knew what it looked like.
And I think the reason why she didn't tell you guys is because she knew it's kind of crazy. And like it's like ask for forgiveness, don't ask for permission. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of thing. It's manipulative. And like, I think that like, I get that she's going through a hard time, but like that doesn't excuse like being manipulative to like your kid and that shit. Oh, well, best of luck. I hope that, I think if you go into it with the intention of not trying to hurt her feelings, that's like the best way to like not hurt her feelings. But she kind of hurt her own feelings by putting herself in this position. Oh, should we get on to the next?
Let's do it.
Hey, Megan, Melissa. I love the podcast. Basically, I'm calling in because I'm not sure if my boyfriend emotionally cheated on me and what I should do next. Short version of the story is we lived together for a period with some other friends when we were at school. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm almost 20. His pronouns are he, him. This other girl's pronouns are she, her. We'll call her Annie. And we lived together in the fall. It was great. We fell in love. We did long distance. He's about 2 hours away. I don't go back to school because I'm working. He chooses to go back to school for this semester, and he starts hanging out with Annie. I got a little bit of weird vibes, but I just didn't think about it. Then 2 weeks later, Annie tells my boyfriend that she likes him. Apparently she was a little drunk, but I don't have any way to verify that. Then he waits a week to tell me when I'm in person. I say that it makes me uncomfortable, but I'm worried about not being like a chill person, I guess. And so I kind of just let it go. They go on to hang out almost every single day during the semester. And then at the end of the semester, she says that she still likes him, so they decide not to talk. At this point, I've made it clear that it makes me extremely uncomfortable. Then 3 weeks later, let's say, he visits me. She swipes up on his Snapchat story and says, hey, why didn't you tell me you were there? If you would have told me, you could have come over to my house for a sleepover. I told him this makes me extremely uncomfortable and he needs to stop talking to her immediately, which he tells me he does. Then about a week ago, he tells me that she reached back out to him. They had a 15-minute normal conversation. And then she told him that she's in love with him and has been and can't stop thinking about him. Then he was supposed to visit me, so he comes anyway, and at this point I feel really, really terrible. And he says that she tried to kiss him at the end of the semester, which he didn't tell me about until just now. Right now we're on a break, and I told him that he has a lot of personal growth to do, and he knows that. But I'm just wondering, am I being too forgiving? I still love him, but I don't know if I should, but I really do. My friends have given me a lot of different advice, so I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say. Also, we're all going back to school in the fall. Thank you so much. Bye.
Oy, 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 oy. I mean, right off the bat, I will say, like, you can, regardless of whether or not, like, our advice is going to be, like, stay or leave, that doesn't negate if you still love him or not. And, like, the whole concept of, like, not to be, like, cheesy, but, like, love isn't rational. Like, people, you can love people who, like, do really shitty things and, like, have hurt you, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't, like, erase your feelings towards them, but it also doesn't have to mean that because you love him, like, that's the sign that you have to, like, stay together. Mm-hmm. This boy is shady as fuck.
He is. Can I just say the one thing that really jumps out to me?
She tried to kiss me?
No, not even that.
Oh, what was the one we looked at?
The casual one where we could have had a sleepover. That, you don't just drop that casually as a one-time thing. This has happened before.
Yeah.
He slept over with her before. Mm-hmm. More than one time.
Yeah. This is like, I think that, I also think, like, if he, and this is like, I'm going to be talking on his character right now, but, like, I think if he was a really good guy and he found out that his close friend had feelings for him, he would be like, I need to separate myself from this because I see you as a really great friend and I don't want to confuse you and I don't want to make that uncomfortable for you or make it any harder for you. And in doing that, I am going to really invest a ton in my relationship because, let's be honest, most of the time, people who are falling for other people, it's not out of the blue. You're getting, like, signs or hints that, like, and especially, like, telling someone that, like, if you're going to tell your friend who's in a relationship that you have feelings for them, it's not usually because you think that they're not going to say, like, have anything back. It's usually because they've given some indicator or, like, I don't want to say, like, led them on, but, like, kind of opened up that door a little bit to make it seem like a possibility, because that's, like, a pretty embarrassing thing to just, like, say to someone without knowing that they might feel that way back. So if he was a good guy, he would have been like, I need to separate myself from you so you can, like, move past this. I don't want to hurt you. And then I need to spend more time focusing on my girlfriend and myself because I have inadvertently given off some sort of vibes or on purpose to someone who has made it seem like I am also interested in them and I need to figure out my own shit. But he didn't do that. They stayed being friends, and, like, he's waiting to tell you in person later and all of this stuff. Like, from what you're regurgitating what he, and that sounds like a negative word, but, like, you are retelling what he has told to you, and everything's about her.
And he told the best possible version of what happened.
And it's, she did everything.
Yeah,
she told me that she likes me. Mm-hmm. She tried to kiss me. She did this. She did that. But, like, they're hanging out, like, every single day. She's not is she stalking him? Does he have a restraining order? Because, like, otherwise, like, he's showing up there too.
Yeah. He wants to. He either likes the attention.
Yeah.
There's not an either. He likes the attention. Mm-hmm. He really likes the attention. He knows how she feels about him. And he's doing enough where she felt comfortable enough to try and kiss him. And I think if he was this upset about what was going on, every time that something happened, one, he would, like you said, be putting distance in between the two of you. And then two, I don't care if he's waiting to see you in person. He should have told you. Like, he could have FaceTimed you.
Yeah. And this is, like you said, this is the girl that you've worried about. Like, this is the one. And I think that, like, a lot of the time we focus on, like, the other woman in this situation or whatever. And, like, it's mostly, like, men intentionally doing that. Be like, she tried to blah, blah, blah. But like you said, like, he gave her an opportunity and signs that made her feel like she was in the right place to try and kiss him.
Mm-hmm. And he stayed the night at her place.
I also think that this sucks to hear. I'm going to say 99% of the time when someone says she tried to kiss me, it just means we kissed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone who's like been like, I'm friends with lots of women. I don't know anyone's like, I tried to kiss him and he shut me down. It's like, oh no, we kissed.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to speak of them or talk about them or in any way portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. It would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
I think that like you said, he likes the attention of this, and he is not shutting down her enough in a way that has made you feel comfortable at all. And I think that
and it's made her feel very comfortable,
which to me leads to your original thing that I think it's without a doubt emotional cheating, but I think there's a high chance he physically cheated too, which obviously sucks to hear. But your instincts from the start have been very spot on, and you guys being long distance and him spending time with her, that should have been extra cognizant to make sure that you feel safe, whatever. And this is also coming from we are too. I am friends with dudes who have girlfriends,
mm-hmm.
and there is a certain way that you act and you respect their relationship, even though there is I would rather cut off my own arm than fucking kiss any of my guy friends. But there is still a way.
There's a very respectful way of still being friends with them without making, even that, but he knows that she has feelings for her.
Yeah.
The difference is with the guy friends that we're friends with that have girlfriends, we don't have feelings.
That's what I mean, in the sense that this is that's how a female, a guy girl, female man woman relationship platonically should go.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no chance that feelings would ever develop because neither party is interested.
Yeah.
The fact that her feelings have developed is because it was cultivated in an environment where that was an acceptable thing. Also because from what it seems you also know her.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is just equally shady, because it typically means that this person the person that you are in a relationship with in that sense has talked about your relationship in a way that makes it seem it's belittling it, or that is inviting someone else to come in and all of that shit. But I don't think, we can't tell you to what to do or what not to do. But I think the thing is if you're going to forgive him, you have to believe him. And I don't think you do. And I don't think you should, because I think he's lying.
Yeah. You have the inkling already. You guys are on a break, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Listen to the update that we had.
Yeah.
And I think that will also give you a lot of things to let simmer.
Yeah. Because forgiving someone is knowing that all of the actions that they've done, working through it and deciding that you can forgive them and move past it.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically being please suspend disbelief that any of this is all in your head, blah, 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 and just ignore it. And that, in the update, you'll hear that will eventually the rose-colored glasses will come off and it will be like a death drop versus like a slow wade into it.
Yeah.
But this sucks. I'm so sorry. And I hope it all goes well. And I hope you give us an update and like you're thriving and everything's great. And, you know, not to put my own 2 cents in there. I hope he's on the picture.
Agree.
Yeah.
Hey, Megan and Melissa. I'm 22. My pronouns are she, her. And my boyfriend is also 22, pronouns he, him. So we've been together for about 4 years now. We went to the same college. It was a small school, and we both did track together. And we just spent a lot of time together, a lot of nights in each other's dorm sort of thing. He actually ended up getting a job and admissions at our college, and I'm staying at the school another year to get my master's. So this being said, we decided that we were going to move in together. The two of us plus my friend, her pronouns are she, her. The three of us were going to be roommates and get a 2-bedroom that we could split, you know, and have cheap rent. But he ended up needing to move into a place in the summer because that's when his job started versus the two of us didn't need to be anywhere until August. So he kind of came to me with the idea of him just getting a studio and me and my friend getting our own place. At first, this did honestly kind of hurt my feelings because, you know, the three of us had plans to move in together and I was getting excited to kind of start a life with him. But after explaining it to me further, how, you know, it kind of made sense for him to go ahead and find a place and he kind of wanted his own space, I ended up, you know, understanding and being okay with that. Fast forward, however, I know that with August coming, you know, the two of us got our own place, but I know that he's going to be working full-time, 9 to 5, and grad school, most of my classes are going to be night classes. So we just don't have as much time to spend together as we did in undergrad. Also, he's kind of more social and outgoing, and he's totally fine with just hanging out on the weekends and going on dates and that sort of thing, versus I'm a lot more shy and kind of like a homebody. So I kind of would just prefer to like be able to come home to him sort of thing. And I feel like after dating 4 years, I don't want to just go on dates. Like I'm kind of looking for a next step sort of thing. But I'm still at the same time not mad at him for finding his own place. Also, we're not wanting to get engaged anytime soon. I didn't think you guys were going to suggest that since I'm only 22. But I live in the South, and a lot of people I know are getting married right now. But we've talked, and both of us aren't really looking for that anytime soon, at least. But like I said, I do think after being together for 4 years, I kind of do want a next step. But I don't know what that would be other than moving in together or getting married. And, you know, he's kind of content where we are, but he'd probably be open to suggestions. So if you had any, that'd be great. Also, I am a Pisces moon, so I can be a little sensitive. Anyway, thanks so much. Love the podcast.
I think the next step is where you are now is dating or being together outside of like post grad. Like that's a whole step in itself because now he has a job. Now you're like in grad school. Situations and circumstances of college they're not the same anymore. And so the next step is like you going into adulthood. Yeah, I believe.
No, I fully agree because like the next step is balancing his full-time work schedule and you being in grad school. Mm-hmm. Like that is it. I think that like there are only so many steps in a relationship, and I think the step that you want is moving in together. There's not like an alternative or like an in-between or like something else that like you haven't thought of that we're going to be able to tell you. It is moving in together. And I think that like what you need to do is evaluate, do you want to be in this relationship? Because it seems like you are ready for that next step and he's not. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And like that can be something that like we're not always on like the exact same plan and path and trajectory like all of the time. But I do think it is important to have a conversation that's not like, when you talk about like getting engaged, like, oh, neither of us want that like in the future, blah, blah, blah. And maybe those conversations are more specific when you're having them, but like, does he see wanting to move in together in like a year? Like, is there like a plan? Like, is there something that like is going to happen? Or is it kind of like college dating can be really casual, and like then you're going into like the real world, and like it is like actual adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
So, because the college is kind of just like glorified high school.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's high school in some cases away from your parents
yeah.
without rules.
And I think that like you said, like the adulthood dating is the step, but I think you do need to check in and be like, I think that logically, obviously, like he had to move into his own place. I also would say, like, I really would not recommend moving in with your partner and a roommate.
I'm so glad. I thought that was going to be where this call ended, and I'm so glad that it's not that he's getting his own place, which to me makes sense if he's like working and stuff, and then you guys are still in school. I think that makes total sense for what he wants right now.
Well, and I think that like moving in with your partner and a roommate is not the next step.
Yeah.
Like moving in with your partner and getting your own place together where it's just you two, that would be the next step eventually. But if like financially you need to have a third person in there to do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
I honestly don't think that you guys should live together until after you're done with school.
Yeah, because it's college is a massive commitment, and then like it's hopping from like thing to thing to thing, and like you both need to like understand your independence of like being adults, and it doesn't like negate like the importance of your relationship or anything like that, but it's probably, again, because you said you're in the South and people get engaged really quickly right out of college and all of that stuff, that it might feel like keeping up with the Joneses. Like you want to take the next step to like prove something to people, but like you don't have to prove anything to anyone. And you just have to keep that line of communication there, because there is a chance that you aren't on the same page, and he might be like, I don't want to move in together for like at least 3 years. And if that's not what you want, then you're like, then that's like, okay, I don't want that. I'm done with this relationship. I'm going to like meet someone else. I want to do that, because I also think that like, I think it's fine like to have like a homebody versus someone who like goes out or whatever. But like, like I think you really want to play house, and like, cause you're like, I don't really want to go on dates. I want to like be at home and stuff. And that doesn't work if you have like a third roommate friend. Like that sucks for them.
At all.
I think this was like a great call for him to have a studio, and like you can kind of play house when you're spending the night there, because like it doesn't seem like he has roommates, and then you can still have your own space with like your friend living together and all of that.
And you guys are on opposite schedules too, because you're going to school at night. This seems like the best setup. I think because you haven't started school yet, I think let this play out and see. This is the next step, and just see how things go. Yeah,
that's exactly it. And then I think if like after this, like, and you want to talk to him about it, which I think you should, talk about like the timeline for what you guys want, and then let him know like that your feelings were, if your feelings are still hurt after that time and you still feel like that, then have that conversation with him about it. But I think that you're probably going to realize in a bit that like this is actually like really good for your relationship. And yeah, it's like another exciting part, because like at college too, like if you think about it, like especially if you were like living on campus, because you said you spent the night in his dorm all the time and all of that stuff, like it's like dating someone at camp or whatever. It's like really comfortable. And then you're like, oh, we're out in like the real world now. Like we're getting to do this, and like we're doing this, and like you're going to pick me up for my date. And it's not just like walking to my dorm room. And like I'm not just wearing like my college sweatshirt. Like we're getting ready and we're going out somewhere. We're doing, I mean, you know, safely, or like he's coming over and like you want to make sure the place looks all cute. Like it's in its own step. And I think also like those milestones in relationships and all of that, also they need to be separate from your own personal milestones. And graduating college is, and like going to grad school and all that stuff, like you are dealing with a lot of personal milestones, and it's not the time to have, in my opinion, to like throw relationship steps on there
on top of it. You're
doing your personal shit. But I think in like I think you're right, in a solid like 3 months, 2 months, you're going to be like, wow, this was like what it should have been.
Yeah.
Well, let us know. I hope we were right.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. So I am currently 25 years old. I go by she and her, and I am from Canada, which is an important part of this story. So just as like reference, I am in a PhD program. I'm very feminist, and I am very liberal. So my father, he currently lives in Florida. He remarried when I was younger, and he's been living in Florida for many, many years. And it's not an issue, except that he's developed very right-wing kind of attitudes. And this is a problem for me because I am not, obviously. And he is currently refusing to get the COVID vaccine. And I, of course, have it. I've been double vaxxed for a while now. And my dad is just refusing to get it because he just doesn't understand and he's not educated on it and he doesn't see the point. So I've tried talking to him. I told him months ago that I would not see him unless he was vaccinated, just because that is my way of life. I don't really want to associate with those who aren't vaccinated, just for my health and for other people's health that I care about. So I've been telling him this, and every time I talk to him, he still is not vaccinated. Well, tonight I called him again, and he is still refusing to get vaccinated. And I made it very clear that I will not be seeing him unless he is vaccinated, and that I completely disagree with his position on it. And to the point where I said that I'm not even comfortable keeping a relationship with him or talking to him until he gets it. He basically responded with saying I'm bullying him into getting it and that I'm not being understanding of his view, which I understand, like, where he's coming from. But as my father, he is not able to see his children who live in Canada because of the border. And that's not a good enough reason for him to get it. So I'm struggling a lot with this, and I need advice of what I should do. Am I being too harsh by cutting him out and giving him...
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.
This ultimatum, or I don't know. I just need help. So thank you.
Oh, I mean, you know how we feel about an anti-vaxxer.
Yep.
And almost the entire state of Florida.
Yep.
If my brother's listening, not you, but I do not know why you live in Florida.
I don't really know what you need advice on, because I think that you're doing everything that you should be doing. He doesn't seem to care enough about himself or you or the rest of your, I guess she has siblings, yeah. She said, to get vaccinated. And there's only so much arguing that you can do with people that don't want to get vaccinated. I think because you said that he was uneducated on the information, all that you can do at this point is just share factual data with him. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't read it, that's on him.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly think that, like, I think you're going about this in the best way possible, because I think that for a lot of, first of all, you're not bullying.
No. And I think the caller knows that.
No, totally. Yeah. But like, I just am like, sir, you're a father. Your child is not bullying you. I know. But I think honestly, cutting off contact with him is a really like smart and strong thing to do, because I think that and I have friends who have parents who are refusing to get vaccinated, and they've shared as much information as they can. They've done all of that stuff, and they had to get to a no contact point because it's so emotionally draining and taxing. And it's low key kind of being in a toxic relationship. You are putting all of this forth into it. You're just getting hostility back. You're getting anger back and all of this kind of stuff with a parent. And in those cases, you need to prioritize your own mental health first. And it sounds like you've gone to a point where it's I can't talk to him about this anymore. And I think you're calling into a podcast of two people who are so pro-vaccine because you want us to validate your feelings and your choices. And we're validating.
You're doing everything right, sweetie.
You're doing amazing, sweetie. You're doing everything that I would do in this situation. And I think it really sucks, especially coming from a parent. And I'm sure it feels really hurtful. And I think that in separating yourself from him and putting that space between you, you're able to kind of mourn the loss of a parent you thought wouldn't let you down. Yeah. And you're able to kind of process that and deal with that. And that's pretty impossible to do while you're still in the thick of it with him. And I literally was thinking that. But I'm sure there's probably a good deal of literature and shit written about cutting out people anti-vaxxers and parents and that kind of stuff online. I would definitely look into that kind of stuff. And if you're not in therapy and talking about that, my therapist has told us that that's one of the things that a lot of people are dealing with right now in the pandemic. Because she asked, she was are you everyone I was oh yeah, I'm good. She's oh great, because that's half of my sessions are about people who are dealing with friends or family who aren't getting vaccinated.
I will say that early in the pandemic, which I've talked about quite frequently, in the early days on this podcast, about how my dad was socializing a lot and I did bully him. And you know what? Sometimes you do have to bully people to get them to do the right thing.
I was going to say it worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
He's first in line to get a vaccine too. So
yeah, you get the fuck off my back now.
Yeah. Yep. You're
exactly. You're welcome. No, and I'm very similar. We're very similar in that sense that I'm going to be I'm going to be really honest. I'm really ruthless. I don't fucking stop. But there does get to be a point where everybody has their breaking point. And it's also, more than anybody, if you are wasting your time and energy with someone who's not receptive at all. And it's also not, it can be hard because we hear you have to do all this stuff. This is especially this time, your responsibility. We're protecting other people, responsibility. When it is a relationship of someone who is this close to you, it is not your responsibility to change his mind and make him see the right way and all of that stuff if it sacrifices your well-being. Mm-hmm. There's only so much that you can do. And the people who are the best people to talk to in getting the vaccine are people who are open to listening. And if he's not open to listening, I think the conversation you have with him is I'm not able to maintain contact with you. This hurts me a lot. And this is really hard. It's really hard for someone who I love and my dad to not take this seriously and not do the steps necessary that I need as your daughter to see you. And I really don't want this to be a permanent thing. And I understand if you are angry with me, and I understand if you have felt bullied, and that has never been my intention. My intention is keeping you safe and keeping everybody around me safe, and going off of correct information. And I hope the day comes soon, but I will be waiting for the day that you reach out and you are ready to listen and you want to get educated, and we can make the next steps into you getting a vaccine and our relationship can move forward. But until you are ready for that, I'm pulling back, but I am ready at any time that you are to take that step.
Mm-hmm.
and put that ball in his court for that. And then like, just, you really lay it on thick, like guilt trip the shit out of him with that. Of like, I really miss my daddy. I mean, daddy just always sounds sexual to me, but like, I really miss my dad. Like, lay it on fucking thick and guilt trip the shit out of him. And then you'll see. But it is also hard when he's in Florida.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, best of luck. Apologies. Just know that some people are going through this. And I hope he's able to get educated.
Me too.
So that is it for our episode. We don't have a Don't Blame Them because you all called in a ton of times, but for 2 episodes over and over and over again.
2 calls, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, 2 calls. So
with something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
everybody, the call about the guy who was pinching his girlfriend's nipples without her consent. Wife, hopefully ex-wife. If you are listening, just know that you have dozens of people who would like to have a conversation with your husband in the physical sense.
There's so many. There's like more than dozen. Like,
yeah, okay,
yeah.
Probably a couple dozen.
Yeah.
We've got to just name the time and place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who, including us, ready to go to bat for you. And then the other one was the
caller who was in college and felt like everybody else was ahead of her financially.
Yes. So
just know that you are in the majority.
Both of those people, you've got a lot of support.
Yeah.
AKA our entire Don't Blame, every single Don't Blame Them is people hyping both of you up and validating both of you. So that being said, we don't have a Don't Blame Them for this episode, but we would love if you call in for other episodes, leave Don't Blame Thems.
Yeah. Mix it up.
Yeah.
Maybe pick one where you're like, I don't think people are going to call in about this.
Oh, yeah. You can pick an old episode too. It doesn't have to be a recent one. Yeah. And that is it for our episode. If you want to call in, leave us voicemail 310-694-0976. International listeners, send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Keep it under 3 minutes. Let us know your pronouns. H and over, have your parents' permission, write it down and practice. We are also available as a video version on Patreon. Waving hi to Patreon. Hello. We also do live streams twice a month. They're really fun. They're literally just like Zooms of us all hanging out. We have a great time.
This past one was about the Olympics.
Yes. And oh boy. Do I, for a couple weeks of the year.
Your like dick. That would have been good.
My dick?
You hadn't gotten to your like runners' dicks yet. So that could have been part of it. But
it really could have been.
Time.
You know, the Olympics just like brings up a lot of questions to me, mostly about the undergarments people with penises are wearing or not wearing.
Yeah.
And also our cameramen.
They have to be doing it on purpose. There was like...
Well, yeah, but then someone was also telling me that like you'll notice on like some things that they shoot from like head, like they have like more overhead angles because some people like who are again have penises are wearing like looser running shorts and then they have nothing underneath.
Yes,
and so like I'm like, so do they send out the call sheet from the day before? Be like, oh, so and so from Germany is not wearing anything. Like we have a full bush and dick in sight. Like please keep that because it's live.
Yeah, I know that you can Google like plenty of penises just hanging
That's
out.
what I mean. Like you can catch them. And so like, I just want to know
it's
like,
live.
What is the plan of it? Like, how does the conversation go with like the cameraman ahead of time?
I think the cameramen probably know. Like they'll like radio into the director and be like, hey, dick bush out.
I wonder what they have, like what they call it.
Yeah.
Cause like, there's like, you know, there's terms for everything on sets and stuff through like camera.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like an actual code. Like, you know how there's like a, 10-1?
Love it.
I'm going to look it up. We have an Instagram. Follow us. We also made a TikTok.
Yeah, we got one of our videos taken down.
It's back now.
Oh, is it? I did.
I'm shocked.
I filed whatever you do to get it back.
See, the only other times that I've had that happen, it was for bullying, for Gooby Hammer, and it didn't come back.
Yeah.
And so my hopes were low.
Yeah, mine too. Because it said sexuality and nudity was why it got taken down. And meanwhile, Megan and I are sitting there in long ass sweatshirts,
sweating our asses off. Summertime sweatshirts.
Yeah.
Speaking of sweatshirts, our merch we've got our merch out. It's very cute, wonderful. As it starts to get colder, you can throw a sweatshirt on or just a summer sweatshirt.
Put some shorts on with it.
It's really cute. Or wear nothing underneath it. Live your best track and field life. Let your dick hang out. And we always have that linked in the show notes. And it's also on our Instagram and all of that. Follow our own individuals. Buy my book. My presets are out by the time this is out. Obviously, my presets, go get them. And anything you want to promote?
Follow my Instagram for my business, Diamond Imprint Productions. There's no I in imprint; it's just an M. Please do.
She's a wordsmith. It's very cute. Very you will see. Like, wow, damn, Melissa does so much. You do
me and my team.
You and your team.
Me.
Oh no, of course, but you have the booked and busy. Is you.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. So if you're ever also looking, because everyone always asks for the other podcasts that you do, you can see.
They're all there.
You can become a number one Melissa stan. Follow everything you do. Well, that's it. Leave us a review, and then we will see you all next time. Goodbye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts and Diamond Imprint Productions. Edited by Coco Lawrence. Post-production sound by Chris Henry. Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson. Music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso. Hey, are you ready for some real talk and some fantastic laughs? Join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
We're serving up 4 hilarious shows every week designed to entertain and engage and, possibly enrage you.
And Don't Blame Me, we dive deep into listeners' questions, offering advice that's funny, relatable, and real.
Whether you're dealing with relationship drama or you just need a friend's perspective, we've got you.
Then switch gears with But Am I Wrong, which is for listeners who didn't take our advice and want to know if they are the villains in the situation.
Plus, we share our hot takes on current events and present situations that we might even be wrong in our lives. Spoiler alert, we are actually quite literally never wrong.
But wait, there's more. Check out See You Next Tuesday, where we reveal the juicy results from our listener polls from But Am I Wrong?
And don't miss Fisting Friday, where we catch up, chat about pop culture, TV, and movies. It's the perfect way to kick off your weekend.
So if you're looking for a podcast that feels like a chat with your besties, listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.